Hey, we're live. Hi, Gareth.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a good day. It's not the
Good.
sunny start of the day, but it's all good. Yeah. I'm now on
Awesome.
holiday as well, so that's cool. Summer holiday.
Hey, that's fantastic. So, welcome to everybody that's hanging in the chat. Welcome if you are watching the replay. We're sorry you couldn't be here with us, but we're happy to sip on some coffee or tea with you. And everybody that's hanging out in the chat, be sure to say hello. So, what's the weather like over there right now, Gareth?
It's actually raining. So
Is it?
yeah, I went to a couple of secondhand shops just a minute ago and I had some books and it started raining. I was like, no, but it was all right. I got home before the books would be affected. But yeah, it's actually raining, but it's been quite hot though. So it's like hot rain. So
I don't know
yeah.
what hot is for you, but it's 90 degrees today here.
Oh, I haven't looked it up, but it's probably in the 20s, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what that means in Fahrenheit, but
I know. I'll have to figure it out. So let's see. We've got William is here. Hello, William. Hello, William. Good morning. Hey, how are you doing? It's wonderful. Wonderful to see everybody here. So yeah, we're just chit-chatting. We don't even have anything planned. We're just going off the cuff.
I can't read the comments because the light is so bright that I've set up. I can't read the comments. I can barely see you, so it's not it might not even be you. I don't know.
No,
sounds like
me.
you.
It's me. It's not a droid, I swear. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just read them. I like to read them out loud just in case if anyone listening is visually impaired, to make sure that they're included in the chat as well. So yeah, totally.
Assume that I'm visually impaired this morning.
Well, you're just you've got the sun in front of you. You're lit up with the sun. Jess is here. Hi, Jess. Jess is actually, she told me this morning she is reading Alice in Wonderland.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I just tell everyone that I've got my Alice mug because I know it's one of MJ's favorites and she's got tons of Alice versions. I've got lots myself. It is one of my favorites too. So
love it.
Yeah, there's Carol.
Cheers.
Yeah. It's from Disney, so it's a Disney version of Alice on the mug. But
yeah, that's okay.
Never mind. Yeah. I think it might have been how a lot of people discovered, of a certain age, it might have been how a lot of people discovered Alice in Wonderland in some ways.
Yeah, that was the first book thing that I've ever like tried to read along with. It was one of those records with the book. And
oh yeah, cool.
Changed my life forever. I'm like, I want to be Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. You want to be curiouser and curiouser.
Always. That's it. I need that on a t-shirt. So what's everybody reading? What's happening in the chat? How is everybody doing? Tell us what your weather's like. Tell us what you're reading. We don't have anything scheduled to chit chat about, but if you have questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them. But it is great to see everyone here.
Oh, I can take it down a bit. That might help. Yeah. Ask away if there is anything. Do you want to know what I've just been reading?
Yeah. What are you reading?
Because I just read this, which is a really, really good. I think you might like this. It's a bit, you could call it a bit of a cozy read.
Okay.
And this is the third book I've read by her. And I've talked about her a little bit on the channel because she wrote People in My Neighborhood, which is completely mad. And the first one I read was Strange Weather in Tokyo, which is a really interesting kind of love story about someone in their 30s, a woman in her 30s who meets up with her old teacher who's in his 60s, and they kind of start a relationship. Wow. It's really interesting. It's really different. and this is the one that I think made her famous. And yeah, and it's a really interesting book. It's when I first started, I thought, I don't know if enough is going to happen for me to get really into it. But I think I was already kind of positively biased because I used to work in a shop. I worked in record shops for 15 years. So This is like about a knick-knack shop, like a shop that sells anything. But I could relate to some of the kind of stuff that was happening behind the counter and some of the relationships, like, of the people working there and stuff like that. So, and the randomness of the customers as well. So I really did connect to it. And yeah, it's really good. It's quite a straightforward book. Yeah. But I really liked it. And it's actually spurred me on because I keep almost starting and kind of starting in a really vague way a book I wanted to write based around my years in the record shop. So I didn't want to write it as me. I wanted to invent characters, but I wanted it to try and basically kind of a love letter to record shops. You know, that's what I wanted to do.
I love that.
Yeah, I've kind of done a few sort of notes and I've kind of written a prologue, but I've kind of gone off the idea because I started thinking, oh, I don't even remember what happened. But then reading that made me think, oh, I'll probably be able to remember enough. So, you know, and so I want to kind of do that. So,
I love that.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll get to that. But before I do that, the next thing I have to write is the sequel to this. This is The Brown Yelp Gang, which is the second novel I wrote. And I'm really proud of it. It's funny because I did we've been doing these local authors have been doing these bookstores where we're trying to sell our books. And I had a session. I did one a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago or something. And I sold loads of copies of this. And I was really excited by it. And I realized how proud I was of this book. I think it's really funny and it's quite unique. And I just thought, well, it's about these guys here. I don't know if you see it. That's a band, and each member of the band is from a different planet. And like you got Trent. Trent is the singer. He's got 3 heads, so he sings 3-part harmony by himself.
I love it.
And you've got the drummer who creates the drums. Whereas the drummer creates the drums by hitting himself, because it's just the way his body's built. And it's all a bit mad. And a Lazy Riff is the guitarist that is like a classic kind of. They're having this big argument, and then right at the end of it, he'll go, What's going on? What's that? You know, there's a lot of that going on, but it's like a parody of the things that I've experienced as a musician, and but it's science fiction because it's all on different planets, and I play around with that a little bit. And I do think, I was writing it, laughing my head off while I was writing it, and I really need to write the next one, which is called The Brown Yelp Gang Go to Pieces, which is when they split up. And he goes and does a solo project, and everyone else gets these female singers in. But the female singers are sirens, and they're nicking other people's songs and getting away with it because they're sirens and they hypnotize the chords.
I love it.
So so you know, I really want to write it because I realized, I wanted to anyway. I now and again on the channel I say, oh, and I also need to read this again because I need to write the sequel. But selling the copies recently, again locally, made me I was just sort of, you know, gushing with pride and thinking, oh, I need to write the next one. So I do need to do that. So yeah. I need to read that again so I can make sure that I'm not, you know, that it's consistent, you know.
I love it. I love that you kind of got like reintroduced and re-immersed and reinvigorated to like dive back into that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's very different because like my poetry is quite serious. You've got Voices of the City, haven't you? Which is, I'm really pleased. I'm very grateful you got that.
Yeah.
So I got that, but the poetry books are quite serious.
Yeah.
And my prose is not at all, you know. There's a couple of versions, a couple of stories that were in my first book, but I've realized, I think that I work better as a sort of humorist in the novels. So yeah, nice. That's what my focus is really.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I read that, but then I also read this today, I've almost finished it. I started reading it yesterday and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So this is a reread from my childhood, and that's worked really well. So I'm quite excited about the fact that I really enjoyed it much more than I thought I would.
I love that. All right, let's catch up with some comments and see what people are talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. William says, I'm a guest on a reading sprint live stream in 5 hours. That's awesome.
Cool.
Good job. Jess says, I actually got my copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Stories by Lewis Carroll from Barnes & Noble. I am still reading it. Awesome. Matthew said, we've had heavy rain yesterday afternoon, sun shining now. As far as reading, I'm working on Richards and Klein and the Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. That sounds very like buddy adventure books. Yeah, so I've got that, but I haven't started it yet. But yeah, that's really popular and well-renowned book, and definitely need to get to it. Margot Chabon, yeah. Cool. Shannon's here. Hi, Shannon. Everyone's saying hello. William says, I'm reading The Sheik by Maggie Davis, not to be confused with The Sheik by E.M. Hull. Okay, Rod Gillies here. He says, good morning.
Morning.
Gareth, great idea. I need 3 heads to sing harmony with myself.
Yeah.
She also says it's so awesome you're selling lots in local bookstores. Yeah. Hey, Alexis, nice to see you, and you found us on time. Alan is here, hopping in from the West Coast.
Hi, Al.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing? Yeah, so we're just chilling. We don't really have like an agenda, topics, anything like that. We're just hanging out. So if anybody wants to talk about anything, we could talk about it.
Yeah, I was saying to MJ that I've got this ready for September because we're going to read this in September, aren't we, MJ? Is that right?
Yeah, September and October. Yeah. Are you going to read all 3?
No, I want to reread this, and I'm just going to base how much more I read on how much I enjoy this. This is a reread. I read this when I was a teenager, but that was a long time ago, and I remember it being really heavy for a teenager. But I think I'll be different with it now.
Okay.
So it depends. Although my best mate in the band, like my kind of brother figure, if you like, he's obsessed with it. I wanted to get him on a chat talking about this because once he gets going, he's like he knows every single minute detail. And his favorite book, I think, is the 3rd one, which I can't remember which one it is. It's Doom Messiah's the 2nd one. Is it God Emperor of June maybe, or can't remember? But yeah, he likes the 3rd one the most. But he just absolutely loves it. So. Yeah, he's very excited that I'm going to reread it. And I remember little bits, but not enough to, just for me to feel like I could confidently talk about it. So it'd be nice to read it again.
Now, have you seen the last movie production of Dune?
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I like the style. I like the tone. I loved everything about it.
Oh, I only heard positive things. So I don't know who doesn't like it. Maybe it's people who would say, "Oh, well, I'd do it this way," but I think it's amazing what he's done. He's such a great director.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of the David Lynch version? Did you see that one?
I did see that as a kid, and it wasn't that long after I'd read it, from what I remember. And didn't particularly like it much. It was all right. But I tell you what, the screen's just gone a lot brighter for me, so maybe it's my fault that I need to make the screen bigger. Oh, it's just gone brighter again. I can read what the messages are. Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Last year, was it last year or 2 years ago that the movie was out? I guess it was 2 years coming up now. But I watched the David Lynch first because I remember watching it on TV as a kid. And I want to say when they showed it on TV, it was almost like a miniseries. Like they showed like part 1 and part 2. Like on TV. They
did do a recent miniseries, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just like on TV, like the TV version of it. And then I remember watching it with my dad, and I couldn't wait to see Sting. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see Sting. And then I saw Sting, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like Sting anymore. and then I watched that version, and then I watched the Villanueva one. It was going to be released like that day or the next day, so I had a marathon of retro Dune and then modern Dune.
Oh, okay, yeah. The second one is out soon, isn't it? I've seen the trailer for the second one, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think he's a really good director. I liked what he did with the Blade Runner sequel. Thought that was interesting.
I did not watch that yet. I'm a little afraid to watch it because I love Blade Runner, but I don't want to be disappointed. Yeah,
anything like that though. I think it depends on how you go in. If you go in wanting it to be Blade Runner, then you're going to be disappointed. If you go in wanting it to be good and feel like Blade Runner, you'll like it. Do you know what I mean? I think people sometimes are a bit overcritical of stuff, but
that totally makes sense to me.
I get criticized all the time for being too nice about things. So,
hey, kill people with kindness. That's what I say. All right, let's see. Brian says hello. Rod Gilly Ryder says, I'm currently reading The Hanging City by Charlie N. Holmberg. It's really cool so far. Brian's doing awesome. Matthew says, I want to tackle Dune in September as well. Come on over to my Discord. Let's get in it. There's probably, I say there's a good 10 people that said that they want to read it together because either they didn't jive with it the first time, it's been years since they did it, they want to do it with others to keep the motivation going. So that'll be over on my channel.
I've done a video actually because I've been doing so many book events, and obviously Garb August is a big thing.
Yeah.
I've done a video called Sci-Fi September where I'm going to concentrate on sci-fi again because it's like my first love, if you like, but I've been ignoring it a bit. So I've put this video up with a bunch of vintage science fiction and some of the some of the authors that I was going to sort of possibly read. But June's big, so if I'm reading that in September, that'll take me a good couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might not be able to.
I pulled it over from September and October to give people wiggle room.
Well, yeah, that's true. I might be able to do that. Yeah, because I like to read, I don't know, another 3 sci-fi books if I can in September, as well as that. So maybe we could start it in the middle of the month or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. There's too much to read, isn't there? I was gonna. When we started talking, before we started talking, I thought, I'll bring a few things up to talk about, and I've got so much I want to read. It's madness. So much. I want to do a video on those books, and that'll take me a while, especially with doing other things as well. So but it's all good.
Let's see. Alexa says, is anybody reading Star Trek for the summer Star Trek event? I have one Star Trek book sitting on my shelf, and I may get to that later in the month. I'm not sure. One of the James Blish. Oh,
James Blish.
Yeah, one of those. I think it's Star Trek 7 or something like that.
Yeah, well, they're actual episodes that he novelized. So yeah, so that should be straightforward. I mean, I'm a co-host for that event, so I did a couple of videos last month and this month. And this month I'll definitely put something up. Definitely. Well, I want to hopefully get another 2 read, and then obviously Garb August takes over. But yeah, I've got I read the first one in a trilogy, so it'd be nice to read the next one. So that was really good. But yeah, big Star Trek fan.
Let's see. Alan says, I really enjoy reading Michael Chabon. We have a Voxer group and reading all of his novels. That's awesome. I've never read him before. William says, Children of Dune is a 3rd book. 4th is God Emperor of Dune. Right.
So I don't know which one I'll have to ask. I'm seeing him tomorrow. We've got a gig tomorrow, so I can ask him again. Yeah. What's your favorite one again?
And the movie didn't even cover the 2nd book yet, right? Is that true?
Didn't cover the 1st book. No.
It's still like the middle of the 1st book.
Yeah, and I think that was deliberate because there's so much in the 1st book that he was trying to make sure that he covered sort of the politics of the book, and and I do think you get a sense that it wasn't rushed. No,
not at all.
And the David Lynch one's a bit more simplified, isn't it? So
yeah. William says, I was introduced to Dune through the video games.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Didn't know there were video games.
Sting is egregiously bad in the David Lynch adaptation from the 80s. Yes, he is. He's really bad. And he's very greasy looking. I
am going to do a video. We've been talking in the Garb August chat about certain things we're going to do, like a themed video we're going to do. And I was going to do a video on famous people that have celebrities that have written stuff. And I was going to say at the beginning, a big chunk of the beginning was going to be about how people don't like famous people doing more than one thing.
Yeah.
And like, they go, oh, well, they can't do that. I bet they're crap, whatever it is they're doing. And I don't think Sting's particularly good in Dune. It's true. Right. But the amount of times people get flack for acting when they're a singer, or for being a musician if they're an actor, like Johnny Depp gets a lot of flack for the fact that he appears on stage with Alice Cooper and all that. Yeah. And you just think, well, it is actually possible for people to be good at more than one thing.
Yes.
So, people do get a lot of flack for it, though.
Yeah. Like my fave, Keanu, he had a band called Dogstar, and he played bass.
Yeah.
And he was pretty good. I mean, he didn't sing, but he was a bass player, and he acted like a bass player on stage, Yeah.
And bass players don't have to sing. Absolutely. And there's a band that comes down sometimes called the Dodge Brothers, I think they're called, and the main guy in it is Mark Commode, who's a famous English film reviewer. I want to see they're like a rock and roll kind of rockabilly thing. And they're supposed to be really good. Kevin Bacon's band's supposed to be good.
I've seen Kevin Bacon live. They came to a local like casino. They used to have like a bar, and bands would show up, and it was the Bacon Brothers. And I said to Keith, I'm like, we are going to see this band. They're really good. Really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah. What is he, 65, 67, something like that? I was like, how are you that old? Like, you're still footloose to me.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like when I saw, because the last weekend I saw Daryl Hall.
Yeah, how was that?
And he's in his 70s. He was really good. It was it was a bit weird leaving after they hadn't played Maneater. I don't get that. They didn't play Maneater.
Wow.
But that was a bit weird. That was half the reason I wanted to be there. But they played.
Did he sing Sarah Smile?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did that. They did Out of Touch, and they did Making My Dreams Come True was the last one.
Nice.
But he did other stuff from his career, and he did. Do you know the Paul Young song "Every Time You Go Away"?
Yes.
Yeah, he wrote that. So
Really?
he did that one. Yeah, so that was quite cool. He did that because I like the song anyway, and that was really, and then the whole audience was singing that. That was really cool. But yeah, I mean the band were brilliant. I was excited to see the band because it was a band from Daryl's Place.
Yeah.
The TV show he had. So I knew they were really good musicians. So I was looking forward to that. But he had a good voice. You know, not even considering he's in his 70s. He was just sounding good.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember I used to have a coworker that was obsessed with Daryl Hall and John Oates, and every time they would come around, she would go see them front row, all this stuff. She told me that his vocal cords are like perfection. He doesn't warm up. Like that's just his ability. And I'm like, that's mind blowing to me. That he has that tone, you know, if that's true.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, he might do a bit of a warm up, but yeah, some people really go into one and have to have some sort of ritual. But yeah, some people don't. I've got a couple of gigs I'm looking forward to at the end of the month, actually. So I'm going to see the Indigo Girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to see that. That'll be the first time I've seen them, which would be really cool.
Oh, I only know that one song. That's it.
Oh, Closer to Fine.
Yeah, that's the only one. When it's on the radio, I try and harmonize. It doesn't work out that well.
Such a brilliant song. I've done that a lot with my family band, with my daughter and son. We've done that a lot. But when me and Richie were a duo, so when Bemis were a duo, people used to say, "What does your band sound like?" And I hate that question. What does your band sound like? And I used to, and in those days, I used to say, I mean, it's changed a bit now, but I used to say, "Oh, we're like a male Indigo Girls," and that was kind of a quick way of saying it. So the fact I had that in my head, you know, they've always meant something to me because of that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the same venue, because we got a hotel booked. The same venue the next night, they're showing Bruce Cockburn. Do you know Bruce Cockburn?
I've heard the name, but I would have to hear a song to know if I knew.
Yeah. Canadian singer-songwriter, sort of political singer-songwriter. He's amazing. So I'm going to see him again. I've seen him twice before when I see him, so that's really cool.
Nice.
So yeah, and then I'm also going to see They Might Be Giants in November. You know, they might be Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I love them.
I heard a rumor on the radio yesterday. I was coming home, and it was I say it's a rumor because I don't know if I heard it correctly or not, but I listened to a New Wave channel all the time, and they played a Duran Duran song. After the Duran Duran song, they talked about Kate Bush might be playing with Duran Duran, and I was like, wait a second, what? So yeah,
that's a bit weird.
Yeah, because they're still doing their North American tour. I think they're playing my area in September, and it's going to be Nile Rodgers with Chic.
Right.
I think Bastille is going to be with them, and I don't know who else. But if Kate Bush is there, I'm just going to go because I need to see her. And I thought about you because I know that that's one of your favorites.
Oh yeah. She is my queen. There's no doubt about it. But she doesn't leave the house. I don't think. I think she goes. Might go to the shop, and that's about it.
I have no idea, but I heard Kate Bush, and then I heard tour, and then I'm like, maybe she's going to be on the band. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
happened.
We did wonder if she was going to appear on stage again, just for a fleeting moment, because she is going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
And
but her doing an actual tour again. Say again?
Duran Duran just got in last year.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it was a big deal when she did that last thing, because that was a gap of, I think it was a gap of 37 years from what I remember.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Susie Sue got on stage, so you know, stranger things have happened. That's been a minute. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I will be there if she does.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. Matthew says to Alan, Big Hard Books, I am just getting started on the Chabon, but I am liking it so far. They have a Voxer group if anyone wants to join. Reading The Wonder Boys next. Alex.
I love that film. I haven't read the book, but I love the film. Come on, carry on.
Oh, wow. We are so behind in comments. Alex says, do androids dream of electric sheep? Philip K. Dick, the basis for the Blade Runner movie. Yes, it is. Sorry I missed your live this AM. Brian says, no worries. It was spur of the moment thing. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it too. I was at the market.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one.
Yeah. Alexa says, I thought most celebrities use ghostwriters to write their books. I think most do, but some... Who's the one?
I'm pretty cynical about that, though. I don't know that most do. I reckon probably some do. But it seems a bit weird to assume that most do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the hot news this week is Britney Spears has one coming out in October.
Yeah, she probably does. but we're making a judgment. We are making a judgment, aren't we? We're just saying she's an idiot by saying that. And maybe she isn't an idiot.
Maybe, I don't know. She's saying that she poured her heart and soul and went to therapy just to get this book written. So maybe.
Yeah, so why not just think positively? Maybe just think the best of someone.
Right. Who's the kid I'm thinking of? Oh, okay. So he was in Reality Bites. He was married to Uma Thurman.
Oh, I know who you mean.
He was in
Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. He's written some books.
And I'm sure he wrote them. I'm sure he wrote them.
Right. And I'm sure they're actually pretty good, but then he gets that little bit of flack because he's a celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think it's a bit negative, isn't it? Why put that negative in the world? Just say, yeah, you wrote a book, and maybe it's good.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Alan says, ooh, Gareth, Sean Penn wrote the worst novel I've ever read, titled Bob Honeydew Stuff. I threw it across the room. Was he in a Coley character?
Isn't it interesting, though, that if it was good, he would have said he probably didn't write it. And if it was because it's bad, he's going, yeah, Sean Penn wrote that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny that you wrote that.
Sorry, my family texts are going off here. Shannon says,
Dolly Parton's a good actress. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, absolutely.
True. I have a few successful both Dolly Parton, Olivia Newton-John, Kevin Bacon, Bette Midler. That's awesome. All right, Daryl Hall, and who else?
Oh yeah, Todd Rundgren was there as well.
Todd
Rundgren was the house favorite. Yeah, he did a good set.
Yeah.
He was playing with Daryl's band, so he just came on. It was like Daryl's band. They played all night, and Todd Rundgren went on so they learnt his songs, so they could play his set.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. He was good.
Okay. And then just as was John Oates with Daryl.
Yeah, it's weird. I thought they weren't friends anymore, but they are, and apparently gigging together. Yeah, they're gigging together, but they weren't gigging for this tour that he did. This separate thing, because he's also playing with John Oates at the moment, and I think with Billy Joel. He's doing gigs with Billy Joel, I think. But yeah, this one wasn't with John Oates. But they had 5 singers in the band, so almost every instrumentalist sang. So
oh wow,
they had the full sort of John Oates sound. It's very, Hall & Oates sound. It's very good.
Yeah, that's crazy. What was I going to say? So Daryl Hall and John Oates, they're Philly boys, right? They're from Pennsylvania, Philly area. So a couple of years ago, they started this festival. Now, let me ask you, because this is going to be like a US UK thing. So we have things called submarine sandwiches. We call them subs. We also call them, in my area, we call them hoagies. So what do you all call them? It's just like a long bun with meat, lettuce, cheese.
Yeah, well, we have, because we have the Subway franchise over here. So Subway, you have Subways over there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we get a lot from them. We do get, some.
But is that what you call it? Do you call it a sub?
Yeah, I think if someone described it as a sub, we'd all know what it meant. Yeah, I mean, most of our sandwiches are different. Most of our sandwiches are a normal loaf of bread, but yeah, we definitely do have that around somewhere sometimes. Yeah.
But they started this music festival called Hoagie Fest, based on, because people in our area, we don't call it a sub, we call it a hoagie.
Right.
So it started this little weekend music festival. I don't know. It started maybe like 5 years ago. I don't know if they still have it going, but it's always in the Philly area. And
so it's not a celebration of Hoagie Carmichael or something like that then?
Yeah, and there's all kind of like sub vendors and stuff like that. It's crazy. Alan is a
That's fair
huge Todd Rundgren fan and says Todd is
He is.
God.
Absolutely. Well, that's fair enough.
Shannon loves Daryl's Place. Yep, everybody
Yeah.
loves Daryl's Place. Hello, hello, how are you? Let's see. Prince of Darkness is my favorite Indigo Girl song.
Yeah, it's a really good song. That's off the first album as well. Yeah.
Everybody's saying hello. William says they might be giants. I loved Dr. Worm and the Sun.
I did a thing where I was conducting a kids choir for a while. So I was in charge of the senior school choir. So it was like this big event where loads of schools from the city did this big thing at our local guild hall, and there were different conductors for the primary school choirs, and I was in charge of the secondary school one, and I did it a few years running. And my favorite thing I did was getting the kids to sing Dr. Worm. And they were doing actions. They were playing the drums in the line about playing the drums, and it was just the right laugh. And they thought I was a nutcase getting them to do Dr. Worm, but it was great.
That's awesome. Jess says in August I'm going to see an 80s rock tour with Lou Gramm. In September I'm going to see former Queensryche singer Jeff Tate, and in October Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks I saw a couple years ago. It was Stevie Nicks and Chrissy Hynde. It was a double bill show. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Stevie Nicks can sing her socks off. Like, she's just so good. And then in between all the songs, she was giving little memories, little experiences about, you know, what led up to the song and issues with the band and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was really phenomenal. You're going to have such a great time, Jess.
That's awesome. I love Lou Gramm's voice and Jeff Tate's voice as well. I really like the Queensryche album Empire. I don't know if Jess knows that, but the Queensryche album Empire is really good.
I listen to a channel called Hair Nation, and when Jet City Girl comes on, it goes up to 11.
Yeah, Jet City Girl's from Empire, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone's saying hello. Everyone's saying hello.
Oh, yeah. So good. Yeah, thanks for dropping in. It's awesome.
Yeah. Everyone's saying hello, hello, hello. Hey, Dave and Olive, what's going on? Olive, they finally let you come in one of these? That's great. Good to see you.
Where is it gone? Dave, I've got this ready. I didn't know if we could fit this in this month or not, but this is something we're going to buddy read. Nice. So I'm a big Tchaikovsky fan. Actually, I quite like the composer as well, but I'm kind of focusing on Adrian Tchaikovsky here. He's really good, and this is the one I haven't read yet. And Dave and Olive are going to read it with me at some point. Cool.
I've never read him before, but there's a group read going on for Elder Race. Is that it?
Oh yeah, that's one of his novellas. It's a very short one, yeah.
So I think I'm shoving that in this month. That's available on Kindle Unlimited, but I've never read Tchaikovsky before. You can where is it? Have I got it here? If you get a chance, because Children of Time is massive, so you might not want to go massive straight away. But there's a relatively short book he did, which is absolutely brilliant, called Dogs of War. Ooh. And it's about these dogs that are robotic dogs that are basically following orders from the army. Mm-hmm. And one of the main one, Rex, the main one in the story, he's kind of doubting his orders, and it's like screwing with his head because he's been programmed to obey, and he's not sure he should be doing it. It's really good. So it's kind of like Murderbot, but make it with dogs. Yeah. I love Murderbot. He hacks his own system. Brian says, I was too lazy to make a hodgepodge video, so I just went live this morning on the spur of the moment. Hey, that's all right. I'll have to catch the replay. Everyone's saying, hey to Dave, kiss Olive. She is currently on my pillow licking my head. Hey, Gold, good morning. Everybody's saying good morning. Awesome. Amy Schumer surprised me. The girl with the lower back tattoo is way better than I thought it would be. I saw that today, and I didn't, because I've literally got my radar up for Garb August at the moment, and because I know I'm going to tackle celebrities who write books as well. I don't know if I've got any up here, but there's some downstairs that I got to talk about. And I noticed actually there somewhere I've got a book by David McCullum. You know David McCullum, the actor? Mm-mm. He was in the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series. Okay. And he was in, he's recently been in one of the CSI series, I think, as a forensic guy, I think. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you'll recognise him probably if you saw him, an English actor. And he's written a book, and I picked that thing. Is that the David McCullum? Yes, it is. And I thought I'd give that a go. That was ages ago, but that's something I might read for this challenge. And I've got a book by Steve Earle as well. Steve Earle, the singer-songwriter. Yeah, you know Steve Earle. You know Steve Earle?
I think I'd have to listen or see him. I don't recognize him.
I think his most famous song is Copperhead Road. I think that's his most famous one.
Okay.
But anyway, got a book by him as well, short stories. But yeah, I saw that book by Amy Schumer, and I think probably if I was a bigger fan of her, I'd probably snap it up straight away. But I also thought it might have been a memoir rather than a fictional book. I'm trying to avoid memoirs because obviously anyone can write a memoir, and I don't think people bulk if they see a memoir by someone. But I'm looking at more if they write fiction. That's more of contentious in it. That's more like you're not a writer, you know. Whereas if there's memoir stuff, you know, although that can be contentious as well, because I think there's a lot of people who don't believe that Naomi Campbell wrote her. Well, I think it's actually fact that she didn't write her memoir and stuff like that. So, you know, when a model writes a memoir, people don't believe they wrote it. Yeah. But it's when they write fiction, isn't it? That's the most disbelieved, if you like, or the most least respected. The most, you know what I mean? I've got the Tom Hanks book as well up in the loft. He wrote a book of short stories. I don't know if he's written anything else since, but
yeah, I don't know. Is that the one with the typewriter on the front?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got that. And there's Richard Osman as well. He's a celebrity over here. Have you heard of Richard Osman?
I've heard. I know the books, but I don't know him.
Yeah, he's a big celebrity over here. Okay. So him releasing a book was like, oh, he's got a book. But what I was going to say in my video, which spoilers, don't have to watch this video if I say it. But if a celebrity is quite, if you like, quite a wordy celebrity, then it's not a massive surprise when they write a book. Like Stephen Fry's written books, and people aren't that surprised that he's written books, are they? Because the way he talks, it kind of makes sense. He's got that sort of, you know, he loves language, and it's kind of inevitable and kind of, you know, be a bit weird if he didn't. Yeah. And same as Ben Elton's got quite a big career of writing books, like a second career, Ben Elton. But he started off as a comedy writer and comedian, and it kind of, to me, it makes sense that you'd end up being a writer, you know, if you're writing your comedy anyway. Do you know what I mean? And I've got a book here. Can I find it quickly? Yeah, this one is interesting. I'm probably going to make loads of books topple down. Hold on, see if I can do it one hand. Yes. So Victoria Corrin is a celebrity over here. Okay. Have you heard of Victoria Corrin? She's a presenter of a ridiculously hard game show called Only Connect.
So when you say presenter, that's like a host, like a news person or something? Okay.
Yeah, she's a presenter. She's got this quiz game. It's really, really hard. Anyone that talks about it, they always go, I like to watch it so I can feel more intelligent. It's one of those like crazy game shows.
Like a Jeopardy type thing.
It's really hard. Only Connect is called. And she presents that, and she's a very intelligent woman, but she's also famously married to a comedian over here called David Mitchell. Okay. So they're quite, so when they're on TV together, it happens now and again. It's quite funny. But anyway, she's also, besides being this presenter and possibly a comedian, I'm not sure, but definitely presenter, she's also famously a really good poker player. And she had this really important championship win in poker. And this story, this book is about her. It's like, what was it, Confessions of a Player, and it's about her being a woman in quite a male-dominated sport, right? And her sort of experience of that. So I got this because I quite like her. But again, that's definitely, you know, someone might say, well, you know, I bet she can't write. Although, again, she's like Stephen Fry. She's like a female Stephen Fry, really. So it would make sense that she would write and she could write. So I do think there's some nuance there, isn't there? As far as.
And I was just thinking as we were talking, I wonder if the strike that's going on in Hollywood now is going to bring more actors to the writers' table. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it also depends how long it takes as well, because it will really damage the industry, won't it? And they don't want to not work for a long time. I mean, it could be that they get it sorted, but sometimes these things take far too long, and you know, the negotiations aren't properly negotiated and all that. I remember being a kid when one of these was going on, and all I was praying is like, Knight Rider needs to come back in September. Like, they need to get off the line. I need Kit.
yeah. Well, it's serious if you're not getting Knight Rider,
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, let's check in with some comments and see what's going on. People are saying hello. Oh, Alan says, I still haven't received my copies of the Stygian Society's anthology yet. I'm sure you will.
I need to get that.
Morning, Alan. I just got mine Thursday. Book looks great. So it's on the way. Courtney was here. Courtney, are you still here? Hey, what's going on? Oh my God, I would love to see Stevie Nicks. Let's see. Alexa says, hoagies were originally called hoggies. The men at the pig meat packing plant in Philadelphia started Mekong sandwiches to sell that were called hoagie. There you go. That's the origination. Thank you so much. MJ, I envy you see Christy and Stevie together. I couldn't say no to that show. That was a good one. Let's see. Gola says, oh, are we talking 80s music? I was going to AV's metal night tonight in Salem. Nice. That's nice. Fun. Jess says, I know the album Empire. I think Hair Nation was hosted by former Long Islander and Twisted Sister singer Dee Snider. He's been on there. He's been on there once in a blue moon. Book Blather, how about September for Cage of Souls? Is that too late?
It's going to be while I'm reading June, so I can, we could try. I won't say no. I mean, it's easier to try and commit to a book than an event sometimes, isn't it? Because there's, you feel like you need to read a few books for an event. Mm-hmm. And even though Cage of Souls is quite big, what is it? Yes, 570 odd pages, 580 pages. So yeah, it's a big one. Mm-hmm. But it's a big one. It's a big one. But it's, I'm expecting it to be really good. Everything I've read by him has been really good. Good. So what's that? 4 books, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, he's really good.
All right, Shannon had to go. Big Queensryche fan here. Nice. Everybody's bye. Hello, Zach. How are you?
Hi, Zach.
Al is here. Hello. Alan says, what's Cage of Souls all about?
Okay. Shall I read the back?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I won't be able to tell you about reading the back. The sun is bloated, diseased, dying, perhaps. Beneath its baneful light, Shadrapar, lost of all cities, harbors fewer than 100,000 human souls. It's a museum, an asylum, a prison on a world that is ever more alien to humanity. Bearing witness to the desperate struggle for existence between life old and new is Stefan Adveni, a rebel, an outlaw, a prisoner, and a survivor. This is his testament, an account of the journey that took him from beyond the city's reaches to the blazing desolation of the western deserts, down the river to the verdant hell of the jungle's darkest heart, and deep into the labyrinths and caverns of the underworld. He will meet with monsters, madmen, and mutants. The question is, which one of them will inherit this earth?
Wow, that sounds really good.
Boom.
Boom. There you go, Alan.
I think it's quite a conceptual one,
Yeah. Let's see, Courtney says, most of these celebrities have other people write their books. Yep.
We're just discussing that.
Yeah. Amy was surprisingly deep, emotional, as well as funny. It was actually a good book. At times you will laugh, but you may even shed a tear.
There was that recent book that was written by that one that was she in iCarly, the one that it was something like Why I Didn't Kill My Mother or something, or Why I Did I can't remember the title, but everyone was talking about it and everyone was saying how brilliant it was. And again, I'm sure she wrote it. But that's all about, a bit of a sort of stirred up anger and bitterness in there and a bit of humor, I think, a bit of wit. So, some memoirs have got a real sort of spark to them.
Yeah. Al says, I'm about to read Fry's third in the series, Troy.
Yeah.
Dave and Olive say, Alan, Cage of Souls is far future when the sun has expanded about the last human city. Sounds intriguing. Who's up for some Texas Hold'em?
I love Texas Hold'em.
Hey, Fred. Happy Saturday. Can't stay long. Wanted to pop in and say hello. Everyone's saying hello to everyone. British actor James Crute is working hard on a book that sounds like a killer, the world of an actor type book. Sounds
okay.
Everybody's saying hello. Hey, Anthony. He says, what's up, ladies and gents? I'm listening to y'all out on the Chesapeake Bay in my kayak. Good times.
Awesome. That's brilliant.
That is a good time. Everybody's saying hello, hello. And I think we're caught up with comments now. Cool.
Someone just reminded me of there was a kind of a parody kind of book that was written about an actor called from Dave. What's his name? Dave, the guy who played the Wizard of Oz in The Wonderful World of Oz. He's like Seth Rogen's best mate. What's his name? Dave something. See if someone can say in the comments. I think it's Dave. He's got a famous brother as well. But anyway, he wrote the book, and I had it for like a week, and then it just coincided with a time when I was looking at my books going, do I need to have all these books, and which ones do I not need to have? And I ditched it as soon as I got it. But that was kind of in loads of places like FOP, and which I showed you, places like that.
That was so cool.
Oh, it's such a great shop. Yeah,
going back there next time. I'm bringing bigger luggage the next time I go, for sure.
Yeah. I'm so pleased that you like London, because obviously
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
We had the best time.
Yeah.
And my husband was a good sport, holding my books.
We went in foils, and he was like, "I'm just going to sit here."
That's
like,
it. Okay. I'm like, "Here, honey, take my book." All he wants to do, he's like, anytime that you see Gareth, tell him we're going to the pubs. We're going to do a pub crawl next time. We're going to the oldest pubs in town. I'm like, all right, that's what we're going to do. Yep.
So I missed my last train. I'm like, I don't know when the train is.
I know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You got your Chinese food. That was the good thing. Oh, James Franco. That's it.
James Franco, not Dave. I think his brother's David Franco. I think that's why I thought of Dave. Yeah. It's James Franco.
James Franco.
Yeah, he wrote a book, and it was like really, it's like seemed to be everywhere for a minute. And I don't think it was just been released. I think it just was like one of those books that were part of the like offer, like a 2 for £7 or whatever kind of thing for ages. Yeah. And it might be good. I don't know, but again, I'm sure he wrote it. I'm going to keep saying that.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get. Sorry, I was going to talk about Bill Mooney. Do you know Bill Mooney?
No.
So he was the little kid actor in Lost in Space. He played Will Robinson. Like
the old series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was in Babylon 5. He was one of the main characters in Babylon 5 as an adult.
Okay.
So he was. Have you seen Babylon 5?
Huge fan of B5.
Oh, he played Lanier. He played Lanier.
Oh,
yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. So I really, really like him as a person. But I just think it's really awesome that he's also a really good musician. He's a really good musician. So I bought some of his albums. They're only kind of like, he's got his own studio and he plays most of the instruments on it. They're not like the best albums of all time, but they're good. Do you know what I mean? And he's got a bit of a Neil Young vibe to what he does. And he used to collaborate a lot with the guys from America, the band America.
Yeah.
And he was actually half of Barnes and Barnes. There was like a novelty band, wasn't it, for a minute? They did Fish. Oh, I've forgotten the thing. Dr. Demento used to play their Barnes and Barnes song loads on the American radio. Fish Heads, yeah.
I know that one.
Yeah, Fish Heads. So he's like, you could say that alone makes you define him as a successful musician, but he's definitely a good musician and he's got a really good voice and all that. I just think it's interesting that he's someone that is clearly acting is his main career and his main income. Yeah. But he built a studio and he's learned to play loads of instruments. He can play accordion as well as guitar and bass and drums and sing.
That's awesome.
And I just think he's someone, because I remember thinking that he's a bit of an inspiration for me because I am a musician, but I'm also someone that is an aspiring writer as well. And I'd like to believe you can do more than one thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Big up people who do things.
Yeah. Rod Gill is wondering if he could rock retro aviator glasses. I say everybody should try them. Gives you the fountain of youth, baby.
Yeah.
James Franco was working on his PhD and teaches literature at Yale. I know he was doing that.
Oh, there you go. So you can't you couldn't really say you can't write then if he's
didn't he get it? When Me Too came out, his name came up a couple times. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
My daughter said
he kind of went under, and I don't know if he just came out in an article that he's talking about being sober now and how his life has changed. So I don't know if he's doing a 360 or what, but He was a little problematic there for a little bit.
Yeah, my daughter doesn't like talking about him, so something happened.
Yeah,
but I don't know what it is.
NYU. That's it. That's where he was.
That's probably why I got rid of the book. I probably got freaked out.
Yeah. Alan says James Franco did that film As I Lay Dying to boot. Yeah.
His best performance is probably, is it called 127 Hours? The one where he's trapped in that rock face.
I've seen that. That was really, really good.
Yeah, he's really good in that.
Can I tell you the best James Franco movie that I've seen? So I'm a huge, oh gosh, I just lost it. Oh, James Dean fan. He played a made-for-TV movie or miniseries, and he played James Dean. It was fantastic.
Yeah, he'd be the right choice for that. Yeah,
we're talking. It was like early entry career. It had to be 20, 23 years ago, and I will always remember him being in that role.
But then I always think about Kurt Russell being Elvis.
What?
In the John Carpenter, yeah, it was like 78 or something. It was really early on in his career. It was before he was Snake Plissken and all that.
Oh, wow.
He did the John Carpenter biopic of Elvis.
Oh.
It's a really good film. Yeah, it's really good.
Wow.
And Kurt Russell's really, I think Kurt Russell's brilliant anyway, but he's really good in that.
Wow. I'm gonna have to Google that, because I used to, when I was a kid, like when the news that Elvis died came out, I was heartbroken, completely heartbroken. But in my head, because I used to watch all the Elvis movies, it was young Elvis. It was Blue Hawaii Elvis. It was Clambake Elvis. It was that Elvis that I thought that died, not Vegas. Right. I'm a little overweight.
You would have been well young, because that was 77, wasn't it? So you had only been.
I was 5.
5, yeah, because I was 6.
But I used to watch all those movies on PBS because they were fun, But it gave me a warped perception of time, because they also showed the Beatles movies. And I thought the Beatles were as they were in the movies, not broken up and all that, So it gave me like a weird, like a time shift in my head.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Zap says, and he did the Ginsberg film.
That's right. He did Howl. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Oz the Great and Powerful was a lot of fun with James Franco. Now I remember what the film you guys were talking about. Yeah. Yeah,
I quite liked it. I think it's very difficult to recreate the magic of The Wizard of Oz, but I think they did a good job. Was it Sam Raimi? I think it was Sam Raimi that directed it.
I think you're right. That's
quite reliable.
Right. Yeah. God, I couldn't tell you the last movie that I went to see. I don't even.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't even know. It was Belfast. So that tells you how long ago.
Oh, wow. Was that good?
It was wonderful. It was really good. Yeah. Really, really good flick.
Yeah, I didn't even know about Kenneth Branagh's Irish past. Because it's a very personal film for him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that he had that part. I just assumed he was, because the only thing I know about him, he was part of the sort of there was like a bunch of posh actors that came from like either Oxford or Cambridge or both. I think it was Oxford. And it was like Emma Thompson, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Kenneth Branagh. Mm-hmm. They're all mates. They all came from the same place. Mm-hmm. And I just assumed they're all literally just English. They just came from England. But he clearly had family in Ireland and came over to study and all that, I guess, and become an actor.
No, it's really good. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's humorous, it's lighthearted, but then it's serious and sad. Like I had tears. So yeah, it was a really powerful film though. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Let's see. MJ, Belfast was a great film, huh? The kid actor was phenomenal. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. Sometimes that's the thing though, isn't it? You get the right actor in these young roles and they just absolutely dominate the film. You just think this person's incredible. I had that recently, but I can't remember what the film was, but they were so brilliant. I won't be able to remember it, but yeah, that it's just cool when it happens, because there's something, I don't know, there's something, I think kids, maybe if they really are destined to be actors, I think they do just become that role in their head when they're doing it. I think that's the one thing about child actor,
Yeah, they're true method actors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite actor?
My favorite actor is probably Jeff Bridges. I love Jeff Bridges. Yeah. There's a few though. I like Jeff Bridges' kind of he's not. It's not. He's not reliable. He needs to earn a living. So not every film he does is brilliant, but he's done a lot of great films though. But I just love what he gives to the films. I mean, I don't think was it called Crazy Heart, the one where he's the old country singer.
Yeah,
I think it's called Crazy. Was it Crazy Heart?
I think so.
And really that works because it's him.
Yeah.
Because he's got this charisma about him, the screen presence. And obviously he's singing it himself, and because I love the fact he's a musician as well. Yeah. But no, I just think he's fantastic. The same as I really love Sam Rockwell as well.
Sam Rockwell.
Do you know
Sam Rockwell? I know the name. Give me like a role or a movie.
He was the only actor pretty much in Moon. If you've seen Moon.
Oh, I love him. Love him. Yes.
I think it's amazing. Yeah. And I didn't even notice it, but there was a funny video I saw on YouTube where it was this guy talking about the fact that he dances in every film he's in.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice. And it just went on about it. Showed these different clips. I thought it was quite funny. Yeah. And he just randomly does it. But yeah, he's such a brilliant actor.
He was the bad guy in one of the Charlie's Angels movies. That was the first time I ever got exposed to him. Yeah, he's really good.
He's good as a bad guy. He's the bad guy in Green Mile as well, isn't he? He's horrible in Green Mile.
Is he? I don't recall him. I'm gonna have to go back and look.
That was a really early role for him as well. And he's just horrible, nasty piece of work. And he's also what was the other? Oh yeah, he's brilliant in 3 Billboards as well. You've seen 3 Billboards?
That was fantastic. That was amazing so film. Good. That was such a good film. Even my husband.
Everything about it.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
You say your husband liked it.
He reminds me of I'm going back maybe 1 or 2 years ago, but there was some political guy, like some guy in politics. And all I'm thinking of my head is that could be Sam Rockwell's twin. Like he needs to play this guy in something. Like it was really awesome. Oh, let's check in with the chat and see what is going on. That is Rad is here. Hello, Jess. How you doing?
Hi, Jess.
Voodoo Donuts. I need to see Crazy Heart. Voodoo Donuts is the bomb.
Wow. Okay.
Everybody's saying hello. We are big Lebowski fans here.
He's been defined by that now. It's like
pretty much.
When he got the role, about Jeff Bridges, he probably thought, "Oh, well, I'll do that role," and he probably didn't realize that it would be literally how everyone sees him now. I think everyone thinks he is Jeff Lebowski. But yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing role, an amazing film.
Sam was the villain in one of the Charlie's Angels movies. That's correct. Yeah.
I was raving yesterday. Was it yesterday? So I discovered someone I knew, and it freaked me out. Someone I knew that I thought would have done this hadn't seen Raising Arizona. So we were talking about Nicolas Cage, I think, and I mentioned Raising Arizona, and I just started laughing to myself about just thinking about Raising Arizona. I just have to think about it for seconds, and I start laughing. It's such an amazing film, and Nicolas Cage is amazing in it, and Holly Hunter is amazing in it. They are so funny in it, and I was just thinking, oh, you got to see it, and I just think the Coen brothers are so special, aren't they? The stuff that they do is so special, and that was the second Coen brothers film that Raising Arizona was, because they did that really intensely serious Blood Simple first, and then they did Raising Arizona.
Do you know what my favorite Nicolas Cage movie is?
Is it Con Air?
Nope. One more guess.
Wild at Heart.
No. Valley Girl.
Oh, Valley Girl. Okay.
I saw that movie and I said, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" Fell in love. Yep. Love that movie.
Cool. Well, it's so weird that he's become a bit of a meme, and he's just become some kind of joke, and it's just odd because he clearly is quite an interesting character as a person. Yeah. But I think he's a good actor as well. And he can, I think he's good in comedy more than serious stuff. But I don't think it's a bit of a shame that he's become a bit of a joke, I think.
The thing that kind of creeped me out about him was his love of Elvis, but then his active pursuit in marriage. Did they get married to Elvis's daughter? Were they married?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know they were together, and I'm like, that's a little. I don't know about that. That's
but that's not as weird as Michael Jackson marrying her.
But Michael Jackson didn't have an Elvis thing.
Yeah, I think Michael Jackson had lots of different weird obsessions. I think he might have had an Elvis thing.
I don't know. I think they were just two celebrity kids that kind of just met on a common ground. I really do.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everyone's saying hello. People say that I resemble Jeff Bridges. Maybe a little, Alan. Maybe
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's it. It's his voice. His voice is similar.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Oh, let's see. Tangible reads. Courtney says 3 Billboards was amazing. Felicity Huffman, phenomenal. She's phenomenal in everything she does.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, she wasn't involved in that college scandal. No, she wasn't. That was somebody else, right? Felicity Huffman? Was she involved in that college scandal in the States? I don't think so. No, it was somebody else. I'm pretty sure. Do you know the scandal I'm talking about?
No, I don't know the scandal.
There were celebrity actors that kind of faked their kids' sports history by making Photoshop photos and all this kind of stuff in high school.
Okay.
In college. So they kind of like faked their, acceptance into college. But there was one celebrity.
I don't happen all the time, isn't it? It's so easy to do nowadays, isn't it?
The what?
It's so easy to do. I'm surprised it doesn't happen all the time.
I know, but it was just so, and it became a federal case. It was a federal charge. It wasn't just like this little charge, and people had to go in and do like jail time. It was the girl from Full House, the girlfriend.
Okay.
Oh, gosh, I can't think of her name. You would know her to see her. It was help me out in the comments. You guys know what I'm talking about.
That's happened a few times. They've helped us out a few times.
Oh, there's so much 80s, 90s nostalgia in my head. Why can't I think of it? Oh, I'll think of it. The dude. Yeah, everyone is saying good morning, good morning, good morning. Courtney loves a raise in Arizona. We're all talking about books. Everybody's saying hello. Hey, Roy, what's going on? My family keeps texting me. Let's see. Roy says, I sat at the kitchen table with beloved coffee, found the show by chance. This is so cool. Please do this again soon. Gotta go. Thanks for a fun time. Yeah, we're here every other Saturday. Let's see. A book called Hub by Matt Shaw William. It's not on any platform except Etsy. On his account, I'm not reading it, William. I heard it's absolutely the worst book ever. Make sure you do a review of it. Everyone's saying hello. Celebrity connections can be weird. Yes, yeah. She was involved in the scandal. Oh, yes. No, I'm confusing her. I am confusing. Oh, bless me, celebrity gods. I am confusing Celebrity Huffman with McDormand.
Yeah, Frances McDormand is in the film. She's in 3 Billboards.
Is phenomenal in everything that she does.
Yeah. Frances McDormand is the one that's in 3 Billboards. That's why I was a bit thrown, because I didn't know if Felicity Huffman was who Courtney thought had played Frances McDormand's role. Yeah. Because Frances McDormand is obviously the main character in 3 Billboards, and Joel Cohen's wife as well.
Yeah, no, it's the Frances McDormand. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Frances McDormand. Yeah.
Thank you, Courtney, for helping me out. Heard it from another booktuber. Worse than the All Right book. Imagine that. Hey, Celeste, what's going on? How's everything in Paris? Roy reads everything. I think she was in Scandal, but got off lightly for being helpful. Yeah, she probably narked out a bunch of people.
That's brilliant.
It usually happens. I remember the college scandal. I think Felicity was involved. And Lori Loughlin. That's it. Full House. Lori Loughlin. John Stamos' girlfriend. Did you guys have Full House over there?
No, I don't think we got it over here, to be fair.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think
with the Olsen twins?
Oh no, we did get it. Yeah, my kids watched it. Yeah, with the Olsen twins. Yeah. They were big fans of the Olsen twins. So that would have been about 20 years ago.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. I didn't connect it with the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Courtney says, yeah, I got a slap on the wrist and 2 weeks in jail. Such privilege. Lori Loughlin was involved too. Yeah, and Lori Loughlin was like the brains of the operation, I think. Like crazy.
Okay.
Hello, Den. What's going on? Den, when are you going to start your channel back up? I'm waiting. Den is such a good artist. Like, you need to bring back your videos when you talk about books and then you're creating characters. Like, really, really cool stuff.
Awesome.
Everybody's still saying hello. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to say, talking of the Olsen twins, I think it's interesting and kind of ironic, if that's the right word for it. Probably not. Interesting that when they were younger, the Olsen twins were like mega famous.
Yeah.
And now Elizabeth Olsen's the famous one.
Mm-hmm.
you know, then like no one really talks about the twins anymore. But Elizabeth Olsen is like mega famous because of Marvel, isn't it? And
Right.
her doing the Scarlet Witch stuff. So I just think that's really interesting because presumably that was a bit of a thing in the family. Oh, they're the famous ones. Oh, and then there's you.
Mhm.
And now she's like mega famous now. So I think it's super kind of funny. I wonder how that works at Christmas
Yeah.
when they're all
But
together.
the Olsen twins around here are now like, I don't know what you want to call it. Kind of, they're not in the spotlight as much, but the money that they've made from those VHS sales, they used to make those little VHS tapes. There would be a new one every month. It was almost like I don't know how often they would produce them. The Olsen twins do this. The Olsen twins do that. They made millions on their younger selves, and they probably still do with residuals. And that Full House reunion thing or whatever, I bet somehow they got tied into that too.
So they're doing all right anyway.
Yeah. And then they started dating billionaires, and you know how that goes.
Yeah. And they're probably like Kardashian kind of characters anyway now, aren't they? Probably just do reality show type stuff.
I think they're a little cooler, in my opinion. I don't like the Kardashians at all. No offense. Michael Jackson, Lisa Marie, all a publicity ploy. Do you think so? I don't know. I thought there was true love there for a hot minute. Come on. Don't break my dream. Don't break my dream.
Well, wasn't all of Michael Jackson's life a publicity ploy?
I guess, but not all of it. Really? I don't know. I don't know.
I think he's a bit odd. Bless him.
Lori Lightfoot.
I don't think it's his fault. I think he had a weird childhood. I don't think it's his fault, but I just think a lot of his life was about fame and in being in that circle, and
Yeah, I mean, you can compare the story of the Coreys, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, all of the celebrity things that they had to go through, that they had to endure. I mean, being a celebrity back then is completely different, I think, from being a celebrity now, because you have eyes on you 24/7. You have paparazzi, you have, gossip sites, everybody has a cell phone. Back then, I think it was a little more dark and disturbing, like the inner circle of Hollywood.
Well, I think even adding to that, Michael Jackson was probably the most famous person in the world at the time in the 80s. So I think and he would have felt that. I think he would have known that.
Right.
And I think on the one hand, part of him would have liked that, and part of him would have it's probably why he got a bit warped by it, and he never really grew up as well. So yeah, very strange man.
Let's see. Book blather. Lori Loughlin. She was in big trouble because of the monetary bribes. Yep. Tis Aunt Becky. that was her name, Aunt Becky. That's so funny. Oh, I missed a lot of the conversation. No, you didn't. Let's see. Bad. Trying to finish up Never Let Me Go.
Oh, that's interesting. That's one I need to read. I haven't read. I've got about 4 of his books, and I was going to start with Never Let Me Go, but I haven't read that yet. Yeah.
Roy says, still getting over Chloe from Smallville. Oh, Chloe from Smallville, was she in the cult thing? Is that it? Is that the one?
But I love it when they go off in a cult.
Yeah. I used to like Smallville. Let's see. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Stories. We're going through everything. Everything is good in Paris, sunny and rainy. The Den. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. All right, because we're waiting. We're waiting.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Come on back. Nadim, I love this book. It's a great one. Let's see. What They Did stinks, but Felicity Huffman is a great actress. Desperate Housewives is amazing. Yeah, it was good the first couple seasons for sure. And then it kind of just died down for me.
I didn't watch that, I have to say.
The Olsen twins have issues. Yeah, I think they don't have their feet in reality for sure. Because they're loaded.
But they got really famous as kids, so it's quite realistic that they wouldn't be very normal, would they?
Right. Courtney says, however, they made their money early. Yes, they did. I remember those DVD ads on TV. The Olsens go to France. The Olsens go here. People were buying them, and it wasn't even educational. It was like YouTube back then. Basically, that's what it was. But they were.
We are the new Olsen twins.
The what?
We are the new Olsen twins.
Yeah, but we're not making as much money.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, Google is. Let's see. People are talking about books. Everybody's talking about books. Dan says, all these American references, I'm still watching Only Fools and Horses. I don't know what that is.
Only Fools and Horses is arguably the most popular sitcom that's ever been on RTV.
Really?
Yeah, it's so it's a sort of, you might know, like have an image of some of the characters and go, oh, that's a British sitcom thing. It might because it's a bit of an odd title, so you want to know from the title. But it's about a white boy kind of seller on the market who basically ducks and dives and tries to get good deals, and he's just a bit of an idiot. But he's called Del Boy, and he's played by David Jason, who's like really famous over here.
Okay.
And he's got a son called Rodney, and for the first little bit there was a granddad, and then he got replaced because the actor died, and he was replaced by an Uncle Albert. And it's basically about the three of them, and they're about them living not particularly well, but it's partly because he keeps just trying to sell dodgy watches, basically, and that kind of thing. And you know, that's like, and the script is really, really witty. It's really funny. And there's these other characters. I'll tell you a really good example of the humor. There's a guy called Trigger who they meet up in the pub sometimes, and they chat to him, and he talks about there's this thing called Trigger's broom, right? And Trigger's broom is like, everyone knows about Trigger's broom. If you mention Trigger's broom, people know what you're talking about. So basically, it's a joke where he says, I've had this broom for like 30 years, and it's always done me well. And they're like, what, you've had the same broom for 30 years? Yeah. I had to replace the handle at one point. All right, okay. So I had to replace this bit, but I had to replace that bit. And basically the joke is he replaced all of it, but he says he's always had the same broom for 30 years. And that's just completely right. But then the timing is amazing, and the script is really clever. So yeah, Only Fools and Horses is actually one of the good things in British comedy that we could be proud of. You know, besides Blackadder, we could be proud of that. Okay. Not so much Benny Hill, which is like probably even more famous internationally, but Benny Hill's not quite so clever. Yeah, he's just chasing women around.
My father loved Benny Hill. Loved watching it when it was on TV, and it was on TV.
Was that me? Oh, you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just froze for a sec.
Nettie's here. What's going on, Nettie?
Oh, hiya.
No. We're here. We're hanging out. Yeah. Everybody's saying hello to Nettie.
That was awesome seeing your live with Greg and Al. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was really good.
That was one of the longest and one of the funniest I think that I've seen in a while. It was good.
Yeah, and I think Greg and Al were more relaxed as well with the three of them together. So that was really cool. So I think you're a good influence on them. So that was really cool. I was going to say, hold on, what's that one?
Oh,
no, I was going to say, I don't know if you know this, but you might have seen this around because it was all over the bookshops, and I bought it thinking I'm going to read this. Like we've been saying, we got loads of things scheduled up, so I don't know when I'm going to fit this in. Yeah. But it looked really good. So this is called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
I have that. Let's buddy read it. I have it.
Yeah, it looks really interesting, doesn't it? It looks like a bit of a relationship story, but I thought I'd probably like it from what I read, and I mean, I picked it up because I thought it was going to be time travel, but it's not. It's kind of like travel at all.
There's video games and there's relationship and there's a little bit of everything. Yeah, let me know if you want to buddy read it. I have it. It was Book of the Month Club.
Yeah, so if anyone in the comments, if anyone that's watching this has read this, please let us know now what you thought of it, because it does look like, I mean, it's got lots of acclaim, but it looks like it could be one of those books that everyone's reading and worth talking about.
Last year, I remember a lot of people were putting it in their top 10s of the year. So I think it's decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Emily says, don't forget the Full House books. We had a bunch of those. Oh gosh, yeah, they're right. There were books too. Hey, Greg's here. What is going on? Just dropping by for a bit.
Hi, Greg.
Disney kids from the 90s and 2000s, a whole category to themselves. Yeah, Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody?
Well, if you go a little bit further forward, Ariana Grande started off in a Disney show, didn't she? Yes. Or was it Nickelodeon? Was it Nickelodeon maybe? One of those two, but similar kind of thing, innit? I mean, they must have a different approach to life if you get that famous as a teenager.
Yeah.
It must be weird trying to be normal. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You expect attention, don't you? And if you're not getting it, you're going to react, aren't you? It's going to be, whereas most of us don't expect attention like that. Mm-hmm. And some of us don't want attention, but they're trained to want attention. So it must be different.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
got to mess with your brain with like dopamine and serotonin and all that, you know, because you always want that recognition. You want that attention. Like it's got to mess with you somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And
go ahead.
No, I was only going to say it must change your activities, like what you're going to do and how much you do, and whether you're not always got to be trying to get the next bit of attention or the next bit of fame or the next project or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, and plus, you know, like I can't think of I can't think of names today, but there's a few that have been in the limelight and they've taken a break because of, you know, mental health issues, you know, and they're like, I need a break. I can't think of her name. Who's the girl that was with Justin Bieber and they broke up and she started a makeup line? Why can't I think of her? She's like one of the most popular people. Yeah,
no, both of those two descriptions aren't going to help me out. I don't know who goes out with who. But
she was a Disney kid too.
Okay, and she decided to have a break.
Yeah. And then she's come. Demi Lovato was a Disney kid. She's been through the ringer with everything. Yeah.
Well, and now she's got a chat show, hasn't she? I noticed that she's got a chat show now.
I don't know. Does she?
Yeah, and that's interesting because her and Drew Barrymore have both got chat shows.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's like coming out of the other end of having either a period of sort of reflecting on your career and thinking, oh, it's messed me up a bit. Let's just do this, which is presumably quite a less stressful and unpredictable job to do, and probably a stable thing to do as well. If you become like, maybe you've had a history with drugs and stuff like that, and you can you've got to be like, you know, up together to do the chat show. Maybe that's quite good for their health and that. You know what I mean? So that might be quite, you know, it might make sense.
Yeah, it's almost therapeutic too.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a good thing for them to do.
Definitely. I think we're still on the Lori Loughlin thing. Yeah, I think Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin redeemed themselves in the public eye because they had positive images and were popular before. Must be nice. Yeah, they're still tainted in my book for doing that. That's just wrong. What are you all going to read next? For me, it's Firefly Lane. I have so much. I don't even know where I'm going.
Yeah, I might, because I've got this handy as well. I mean, we've just talked about some other things I might read anyway. And we've only got half of July left before.
God, don't put me in that panic mode. I have so much.
But I do want to read, because I bought, this is when I was with you in London. When one of the books I bought in FOP was the Bulgakov book, Heart of a Dog, which is very short, so I should be able to slip this in.
Nice.
I haven't read the Master and Margarita yet, but I've had that for ages. But I thought, well, this is quite short, so I can nip this one in there. And I am still reading. I need to get back on it. I want to do a video on my first proper deep dive video on Ray Bradbury. So I've been reading. That was the first one I read for the deep dive.
Nice.
And then I read this crime one, and I'm in the middle of the October Country, and I do really want to do a video on the first few books. So I ought to finish that before the end of the month. So yeah, there's a few on the go, and now I'm on holiday. I should have more time really to do it.
Cool.
Should
Good
do.
Deal. Let's see. Bad says booktubers are kind of like a TV series, and sometimes maybe some drama to entertain everyone. Keep the drama away from me, honey.
I'll tell you what, I do like it when people say, I think Michael K. Vaughan says, when he talks about the Robert E. Howard, he says there's another Robert E. Howard show. And I love that, because what we are doing is TV. It's just YouTube. It's not a TV station, but we are presenting on a screen. And, you know, so I like the fact that he's kind of using that kind of language. You know, it's the Robert E. Howard show, you know. And if I was to do, you know, a breakdown of June, which I'm not planning to do, but if I did, and called it the June show, I think that'd be cool. You know, I should call the Ray Bradbury thing the Ray Bradbury show. Right.
This is my Saturday show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you got your Sunday BookTube. Was it small BookTuber show?
Yeah.
I'm not quite as prescriptive as when I do it, because I've always got this thing. Well, not always got this thing, but I've had this thing for about a year, where I've been trying to put bigger gaps in my videos, but I get too excited and I end up doing 2 or 3 videos a week. And when I originally did it, I thought, just make sure you do about 5 a month, you know. And I am way over that all the time, because it's going to go jump.
And you're scheduled through to like 2025 or something. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that is because I mean I've got some scheduled up through August and September this year, but the ones that go into December 2025 is the 100 book challenge, 100 album challenge.
Yeah.
And I did that really quickly because I thought if I don't do it, I probably won't finish it.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, and they are good, and some of them get loads of views. Some of them get like 6 views, and like the Tracy Chapman one that came up, that got 450 views or something in about a day. So it's a bit weird, but because of the amount that don't get views, I know I would have stopped by now. I thought, oh, it's not worth doing it. I won't do it anymore. So I like the fact they're just scheduled up anyway, and they're just going to appear. But I kind of ignore them in my schedule because sometimes it'll come up the same day as another video that's actually a more serious video.
Right.
And I don't go, oh no, I better separate them out because I just think, oh, nobody watches the other one anyway, so we just crack on. So yeah, it's a funny thing, but I am scheduled up to. I mean, it's weird. And if I die tomorrow, then you know we've still got
a lot of Gareth to look forward to.
100 album challenge videos.
I love it. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Trigger's broom is the ship of Thesis.
Trigger's broom is amazing. I'm gonna have to play. I'll send you a clip. There's a way because I said it in a way that explains what the joke is, but you don't explain jokes. Do you know what I mean? It's the way it's done is so brilliant. You know, and they were looking at him in the pub, like looking like while he's saying it. Oh, I've replaced that, and they're like looking at him and say, "What? You're an idiot." You know, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And the actor who plays him is really funny. Yeah. And he also calls everyone Dave as well. Trigger.
No matter what their name is, it's Dave.
Yeah. And my two brothers-in-law. So my wife's got 2 brothers, and they always say, "Right, Dave," when they see each other, and neither of them are called Dave.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Greg filmed his Garbagus Truth or Dare tag for Tuesday. Woo!
Oh, nice. That's good. When that first came up, and I thought, oh, Ollie, what are you doing? That's such a cheeky tag. And I was like, I felt a bit intimidated by it, but I did think of a story that I can tell that is really disgusting, but I am going to tell the story. So when I do that tag, which might be tonight actually, because I've got a bit of time tonight.
Yeah.
When I do that tag, it is horrible, this story, and you might look, you'll be going,
I'll still like you as my friend. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think I'm gonna film mine tonight, maybe, but I think Augustina Trasterica is making an appearance again, so we'll see how that goes.
Do you spend a good few hours getting ready for that? Do you? You gotta.
Yeah. She's tapping me on the shoulder, saying, "Let's go, bitch. Let's go."
Well, we need more videos of you in a trash can. You know, there's not enough.
I need a dumpster. I'll tell you what. Last year, I had it in my head. I said, I got to make friends with my garbage people. I wanted to hang off the side of a garbage can in a gown and just have a book in my hand and be like, "Let's go. Let's do this." Yeah.
At the end of your video, get driven off by the garbage truck.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That'd be amazing. That would be fantastic.
Maybe I can make it happen. We'll see.
Everyone would be like, "Oh, I can't do better than that." They'll all be saying that.
The dumpster. I could still smell the dumpster in my nostril. I'm telling you, so bad. Nettie says John Sullivan wrote Fools and Horses, and he was a tootin' boy.
Yeah, from London. Yeah.
So you can't wait to see.
Yeah, very clever.
Yeah. Nettie should be a regular with Greg and Al.
Nettie, yeah.
So great. Let's see.
Yeah, it was really good.
Says, I love Benny Hill back in the 80s.
Yeah, Benny Hill was really famous, and it's a bit, I don't know, I find a lot of people are kind of embarrassed by the fact that Benny Hill is so famous internationally, because he was clever, genuinely clever, and he did this, these jokes like that weren't to do with women, like if he jumped off a roof of a building and then it was clearly a doll, and then it would land and then he'd get up again. Those kind of jokes. He'd do that, slapsticky things.
Yeah.
But then a lot of it is very, very sexist, very sexist jokes. Which is why it's a bit old fashioned. And absolutely, but Carry On films are like that, and they're really internationally famous. The Carry On films, but they're a little bit more. They're not quite as leery. You know, he's like leering at women.
You know who told me about the Carry On films? Ollie told me about the Carry On films, and he sent me a link once to watch one, and I'm like, it kind of reminds me of like a Monty Python type thing.
Really? You think it's like Monty Python? Wow.
Yeah.
The Carry On films there's about 40 of them, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's tons, and they're probably as part of our culture as James Bond. Okay. But clearly very different.
Yeah.
They never did a Carry On Bond though. They could do that. They could do a Carry On Bond. Did they ever do a Carry On Spy? Yeah, someone tell me in the comments, any English people in the group, did they ever do a spy Carry On film? I can't think of one. Did they like Carry On Cowboy, Carry On Henry, about Henry VIII, Carry On Up the Khyber, which is quite racist, Carry On Constable? They did all sorts of things like school ones, nursey ones.
Yeah.
Carry On Camping. They did a horror one that was actually, that's some really good jokes in it, called Carry On Screaming. And that's got a great joke in it when what's her name, Fenella something, she's like this sort of witchy vampire woman. She says, mind if I smoke? And then he says no, and then she literally starts smoking. A load of smoke coming out of her body. And there's the famous one in Carry On. Carry On. No, what's it called? There's a Roman one. Carry On Caesar. I can't remember if it was called that or not. But anyway, there's a Roman one, and there's a very famous line that gets quoted all the time when he says, when the character who plays, I'm pretty sure he's playing Caesar, or is it? That's Sid James. Can't remember what character he's playing. Anyway, but he says, infamy, infamy. They've all got it in for me. You know, so a bit of wordplay. Okay. Yeah, that kind of thing. So good with wordplay.
All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. Nettie says, "Ooh, I have tomorrow. It's supposed to be fantastic."
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Ooh, that book has I'm not even going to pronounce it.
Yeah, the famous painting. Where's it gone? Yeah.
There you go. So that's like a famous wave?
It's a famous painting. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really famous painting.
Shia LaBeouf. Let's see. Hey, Greg, on my way back from the bodega. Courtney says, I can only imagine Beyonce's daughter Blue Ivy's psyche right now. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Same thing with the Kardashian kids, too. You know? Yeah. Kanye's kids. Yeah.
They can't be normal, can they? They can't. It's impossible.
No. Nothing is normal. No. Oh, that's it. Selena Gomez. Thank you, Courtney. You are my left side of my brain. Thank you so much. That was it.
Yeah. I know her.
Selena's awesome, but she's very public about her struggles with mental health, with weight and everything. And I believe she was on a Disney show too. I think so. Yeah,
she was. Yeah.
Yep. People are talking books. Selena had a kidney transplant. Yes, her best friend gave it to her, right? Or her sister? Somebody in the family. Cool. BA, what's going on? Greg said, a neighbor is having a seafood and crab feast this afternoon. I hope you're going.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds really good. Selena Gomez is the only murder in the building, which is fantastic. Has anyone seen it? No, it's on Hulu, and I don't get Hulu.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got it's on our Disney Plus, and I have got access to that, but I haven't seen it yet. But I'm a big Steve Martin fan, so I'd like to see it.
Yeah, and who's the other? Steve Martin, Selena Gomez, and
Martin Short.
Marty Short. I love Marty Short.
I think Martin Short plays my favorite version of the Mad Hatter, actually, going back to Alice.
Yes.
You remember Martin Short playing the Mad Hatter? It's brilliant. Yeah, that was a really cool version of it.
He was absolutely one of my favorites on Saturday Night Live back in the 80s.
And the Three Amigos is great.
Yes. I like Lori Loughlin's acting, but it's different when it comes to the person. Yeah, no kidding. She was in some good 80s movies. Yep. Not sure what I guess we're talking about books. There you go. Yeah. The Master and the Margarita.
Yeah, I need to read that. I think I'd like it.
Let's see. Nettie says, Gareth, I have that Booklikoff and a book, and you absolutely must read Master and Margarita. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's up there. It's up there waiting to read. I need to read it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hello, Jane Nicole. Jane Nicole says, I really enjoyed Bradbury's Dandelion Wine.
Ray Bradbury's a genius.
Yeah. Roy says, I confess to watching When Calls the Heart, where Lori was a major character. They had to write an excuse for her to disappear. Bitter Almonds, I like the 80s movie she was in. Bad is Rad. Ollie's channel is very successful. Can you imagine if he did other videos like what I eat during the day where I not? No, I think he'd be kind of boring. I don't think he does much but read, honestly.
I don't think he wouldn't want to do it anyway, would he? He'd be giggling while he's trying to do something. He's saying, nobody wants to watch this. He'd be doing that all the time, wouldn't he?
Yeah. He'd be a faceless channel. Crab Fest. Are you attending the Crab Fest? Crab Fest sounds so good.
It's good that Guy N. Smith hasn't put him off crabs, though, isn't it?
No, it actually wants to eat the crabs when he reads Guy N. Smith, right?
Revenge.
Oh, everybody's looking forward to Greg's Truth or Dare. I just about managed that Garboggus tag. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so behind on co-host videos. I need to like space out some time and get to watching. There's like
I can't wait to see that.
I need to get caught up on.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll be doing one. So I'm going to do that one about celebrities writing tonight, and I'll rant about how people should give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
Yeah,
and everyone will be commenting going, "No, nobody writes it. Nobody writes it." But that'll be my video anyway.
Nettie says, "I'm having trouble not finding a trashy story to tell." Oh, Nettie,
That's brilliant.
That could be like a series.
Nettie, you need to say about 10 stories then, if that's your issue.
Yeah,
then just go for
volumes. The Trashy Tales by Nettie.
A weekly story.
Yeah.
You could be the queen of Dark August.
Yeah. BA says, I love Benny Hill. Used to watch his show in Spanish. And now for something different.
Oh, that's a Python quote.
Yeah.
Python is quite unique, really. And you know I'm a big Python fan, so.
I was a huge Python fan when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'm really into them. In a big way, I've got the big box set. When I did get the big box set of everything they've done, which includes all the Flying Circus series and all the films.
Yeah.
That was a duplicate of me having it already, but I wanted it in a box set. And I've still got the Ruttles stuff and in the early days, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, Eric Idle, and Terry Gilliam worked on a show called Do Not Adjust Your Set, and I've got the DVD of that as well.
Nice.
And yeah, I've got so much stuff, and yeah, I just love them to pieces.
Which Python did the travel series? Was it Michael Palin?
Yeah, Michael Palin did the travel series.
That
Awesome. That was like he's good like that. He was like a second career for him. He did loads and loads and loads. He did about 30 years worth of travel stuff.
It was really good.
And I remember someone saying that the thing with Michael Palin, because everyone loves him, I think the thing with Michael Palin was that the way that his travel things worked was he was really good at talking to strangers, and they just talked to him because of who he was and just like a nice person. They didn't necessarily know him from Python, but just his approach to people just meant that you'd get a better travel program because people would just be happy to chat to him. Yeah. So I think that's a lot of the magic of what he did, I think.
Definitely. I honestly think this just came to me, but I think that his series had a big influence on like Anthony Bourdain when he would do the travel to different areas and just talk to random people. I think it kind of had the same vibe. That might have been a big influence, you know?
Yeah.
They used to show Monty Python here in my area. It used to be Friday nights at 11 o'clock. So this little twerp would stay up until 11 so I could watch it on, the TV where you had to like turn the channel, you didn't have like a remote or anything. And no joke, I would go upstairs, I would make myself like a sandwich or something to eat at 11 o'clock at night, and I'd have everything laid out. I have my napkin, I have my sandwich, and I was just ready. I'm like, let's go. I can't wait to see what they're going to show. Like, I was just so involved with Monty Python. And then I tried to talk about it with like my peers, and they're like, what? They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you guys don't watch it? Like, you're idiots. Nobody was cool back then but MJ. That's all I got to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty big over your way, aren't they? So I don't think it's that weird.
It was kind of, it was like early 80s, and you had to be in the know to really watch them. And everybody's watching Looney, whatever, Thundercats or whatever else was on, but I'm up late at night on a Friday night watching Monty Python.
I was really pleased when go on.
No, I was going to say, I went to see John Cleese. He came around maybe 3 years ago, and he did a tour showing what's the name of the movie based on Excalibur? Why can't I think of it?
Oh, Holy Grail. Monty Python and Holy Grail,
it was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So we watched the movie, and then he came out to do like a Q&A, which was kind of fun. But I was just, I felt, I'm like, it was kind of that same thing. Like, wow, you're in your 70s now, you know? And back when Monty Python was on, they were in their early 20s, mid 20s. It was crazy. Can
I just ask a question? I think I know the answer.
Wow.
So every time I've seen John Cleese talk about Monty Python, anything about him, but especially the films, he just moans a lot and he's really negative. Did he moan a lot? Did he say how uncomfortable it was and how he didn't enjoy it?
No, he didn't go off on it. I would say he was less enthusiastic than I thought he would be. But, you know, it was a full house, and he's appreciative of the fans showing up and all that. And he was funny, you know, but he was a bit of a downer, but not a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I every time I've seen him talk as himself, I always go, "Oh, shut up," and turn it over. Yeah. It does my head in. He's so negative, and he was negative in the group as well. So he left Flying Circus before they finished.
Right.
So he didn't do the last series. So they carried on without him, and then came back to them for the films. And Terry Jones, bless him, I absolutely love Terry Jones. Such a lovely guy, and he was the one that was really most enthusiastic for them to do stuff together. And he made lots of attempts to try and get them together. And like one thing he did, which was when he directed Wind in the Willows, I think he tried to get some of them together for that, and some of them did. And then he did another film, which was a really cool film with Simon Pegg in it, about someone who can do anything. I can't remember what it's called, but he gets his dog to talk. Have you seen that one? Simon Pegg film about that?
I don't know.
Terry Jones. I like Simon Pegg. Yeah. It's a good film, actually. It's quite a funny film. But he got everyone together to be these aliens at the beginning that creates this ability that Simon Pegg can do anything he wants. And the aliens are played by the rest of the Python team. So that was pretty cool. And he was always trying to get them together because he you know, they were friends, and he was a very positive person. And it was always John Cleese. It was like, nah, sort of, you know, all that. I mean, Eric Carter was a bit like that, but John Cleese especially was really like negative. And I just think that's so boring. Someone going on about how unhappy he was filming what is essentially one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's such a funny film. Have you watched I don't know if do you have like DVDs with commentary on them?
I don't have them, but they're out there. Right. Yeah, but I don't have them.
If you watch the commentary for Holy Grail, there's two scenes where there's a commentary done by the Python team, and they are just laughing. It's so cool. So they're like talking for the scenes leading up to it, and it's the "How do you know she's a witch?" scene. Yeah, how do you know she's a witch? She looks like one. All that. They put this on me. All that. So they couldn't talk. They were just laughing all the way through it. So I think that's lovely. And then later on, there's the two stupid guards scene. You know, where again, by nobody's to leave the room, what was it? Nobody's to leave the room, and if I come back in, then you go back that way. You know, all that. Do you remember that scene? It was like yeah. It's a really funny scene. It's a brilliant scene. And in that scene, in the comments, they're just laughing their heads off. It's brilliant. They just can't. They're not talking. They're just laughing, and I love that.
So I wonder for the commentary, did they have to record all of those separate, and then they just layered them all together?
They did it in teams. So there's one set of 3 people, and there's another set of 3 people. So I think it's Jones, Palin, and Gilliam together, and then and actually no, it wouldn't have been Graham Chapman. He would have been dead. So I think this it's Cleese and Idol, I think, separately, I think. But
I love Graham Chapman, and when I found out that he was just like a raging alcoholic during the whole thing, I was like, what? I'm like,
yeah. They basically filmed those films despite him, even though he's the main character in both of them.
Right.
And he's absolutely amazing in both of them, but he was absolutely battling his alcoholism while he was doing it. He was desperately trying to get a drink in between the filming of the scenes.
Right.
And I mean, that's basically what killed him so young, wasn't it, really? So yeah, it was a real shame. He was such a funny man. I mean, some of the most crazy stuff in Flying Circus series is him.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Let's see. We're lost in the comments, buddy. Whew, man. Let's see. Carry on spying is a thing.
Oh, okay. So they did the spy. It seems weird they wouldn't have done. So there we go. So Carry On did the spy one.
Yes, they did, Gareth. Carry on spying, carry on screaming, carry on camping.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about Carry On Screaming.
Mm-hmm. David Olive say, oh my God, I still remember my dad asking my little kid self one night if I liked watching Benny Hill because of the jokes for the ladies. I said the jokes and probably started fake laughing at everything. That's so funny. Yeah. He says, I need to see these.
Yeah, they were just, the women were just wearing bikinis, so it's no, it's great for 12-year-old boys. They love that. 13-year-old boys. It's ideal.
My sister watches Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Roy says Only Murders is delightful.
Yeah, I get the impression it's kind of like quite light humor, kind of like, sort of stuff that will make you smile but not laugh out loud. Mm-hmm. That's the impression I'm getting, which would be cool. Sort of,
Des has a question for you. Who is your favorite all-time author?
That's a big one. So it's either Richard Matheson or it's most likely to be Ray Bradbury once I've finished my big reread. So the reason why I'm doing this big deep dive into Ray Bradbury is that I think he's probably going to end up being my favorite, but I want to be like
100%.
I want to say it with confidence. Yeah. But I know he means a lot to me. There's a 4 or 5 that mean a lot to me, but yeah, he's one of them. Richard Matheson's another one. Mm-hmm. Robert Sheckley's another one. And actually in probably in about a year's time, I'm going to reread the 20 odd books I've got by Harlan Ellison as well to see if he's a favorite, but I don't think he'll end up being I think he's going to end up feeling dated once I've read the Harlan Ellison stuff. Yeah. But the Ray Bradbury stuff's not dated, despite him writing in the 50s and 60s and 70s, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't seem to be dated, which I think is quite cool, really. Yeah. I don't think it's the end of the world if they're dated, but it's nice if they're not, Ursula K. Le Guin as well. I love Ursula K. Le Guin. And I've just recently bought an interesting find from her. Nice. So I think she's really good. And anything I find by her, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And Blake Crouch, I like a lot. Yeah.
Awesome.
All that. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Courtney's got to go. A lot of things done. All in good company. See you, Courtney.
See you, Courtney. Thanks for checking in.
Now, Steve Martin is an actor who is a legitimate playwright to boot. Yeah.
Yeah, and just how bad would that be if someone saw that he'd written a play and then thought, nah, it'll be crap because he's an actor. Do you know what I mean? Although saying that, he did write his early films. He co-wrote his early films, didn't he, with Carl Reiner, the director. Yeah. They're co-written by Steve Martin. So he's a comedy writer as much as an actor. So again, that's not that weird, is it, when they decide to write?
And he wrote a book, right? He wrote a book about somebody shopping something. I don't know. There's something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That kind of sparks a memory with me. Let's see. Hey, thanks, Courtney. Appreciate that. The Meaning of Life was my favorite Python film. Yeah, that's a good one.
The Meaning of Life, we've got some incredible bits in it.
Yeah.
It's probably, I don't think I don't think the people themselves rate it as much as the other two. And I think in general, it's always the third one that gets talked about. I think in general, the most popular one is Life of Brian. But I think The Meaning of Life has some incredible bits. I mean, Every Sperm is Sacred is just phenomenal. Yeah. And I think Every Sperm is Sacred, not just is it a funny song, but the way it's directed is incredible. It literally looks like a huge set piece from Oliver. You know, the way that Terry Jones directed it is amazing. So I think Every Sperm, but there's also other things like I really love the liver transplant thing, and then it gets to the door, and then heavily disguised Terry Gilliam says, "I'm using it," and then John Cleese is going, "Well, that's all right, mate. No." He says something like, "It says on the card that you're only going to get it when I'm dead," and he's like, "Yeah, people don't survive the operation anyway." And then they start, and then eventually, and then his wife is like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this. This is a bit." And that's Terry Jones, I think. Is it Terry? Yeah, Terry Jones. He always plays with women, doesn't he? And she's like, "Oh, I'm not sure about this." Is while her husband's being hacked to pieces, and then he opens the fridge, and then you get the Galaxy song, don't you? and Eric Idle singing the Galaxy, which is amazing. There's so many bits in that film that are brilliant. And the yeah, what would you rather be doing than walking up and down the square that way, where Michael Caine is just screaming his head off at the army cadets? That's just brilliant. Well, actually, I wouldn't mind going to the cinema, actually, Sarge. Oh, well, all that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Let's see. Zap says the Ruddles are awesome. R.I.P. Neil.
Yeah, Neil Innes. Neil Innes is really, so he was unofficially the seventh Python, because he worked with them a few times. And he's obviously the guy who wrote Brave Sir Robin, Run Away, that way, and Holy Grail, and what's the other song? Knights of the Round Table. That's written by Neil Innes. Nice. And he's from Bonzo Dog Doodah band. Really interesting guy. And we went to see him locally, and it was really cool because at this point my son was really young. He would have been like 11 or something like that, and he was really excited to see him. And he's because there was a music venue just like literally a few doors down. It was well good, and I used to play there a lot and blah blah blah. But Neil Innes was playing there, and I was like, "Do you want to go?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go." And he knew a bit about Python, and I'd shown him some of the stuff he'd done separately, and he was really excited about it. And he'd seen Holy Grail, and we went there, and he was so excited. Just really cool that my little boy was really excited about seeing this guy that was like connected to the Pythons. Yeah. And he went to the toilet. Neil Innes went to the toilet, and my son was like, "Dad, I'm going to go to the toilet." I was like, okay.
That's so funny.
And he came out really excited. He's like, "I just went to the toilet with Neil Innes." And it was really funny that he'd gone to he could say at the same time. He was so excited. But yeah, it was brilliant. Awesome. So, yeah. But no, he was good.
Bitter Element says local PBS here in Southern California would show Monty Python movies at midnight. Yeah, that's the way to jam. Yeah. Celeste had to go. Bye, Celeste. Happy Saturday. Dude, that's a great idea. Do a Tell the Truth series of vids. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Rules. Let's see. Gotta run. Have a great day, everyone. Bye, Greg. Zap says Faulty Towers is fantastic. I remember Faulty Towers. That show was on here for a little bit. That was really good. What's the other one? Is it Are You Being Served? Is that a British comedy?
It is a British comedy. Yeah. It's
they showed that after Monty Python here.
Do they really?
Yeah.
They still show that.
Well, oh my God. They did. They don't show it anymore. Let me tell you, if I was retired and I had enough money, I would walk into my local PBS station and say, listen, you need to bring back monster movies on Friday, and you need to show Monty Python on Saturday. Nights at midnight, whatever. I will volunteer to host. Like, let's do it. Because they don't show the good movies anymore. The good Wolfman, Dracula, Vincent Price, nothing. That's what I grew up on, It needs to come back.
Yeah. I can't believe it's Are You Being Served. Do you get to see Blackadder?
No.
Oh my God! No. You don't get you get Are You Being Served, but you don't get Blackadder.
I mean, maybe it's on Netflix or something, but no, I've never seen Blackadder.
Amazing. Well, look out for it because it really is. That is genuinely top quality British comedy. That is.
Yeah. There was one British spy show that they showed in the 80s, and it was an American cop was a dude, and then they had a girl, and all I remember is that she was like the total 80s fashion. She had the horseshoe bob that was longer in the front and shorter in the back, and she popped her collar, and I'm like, I love this show. I need to be this woman. What was the name?
Dempsey and Makepeace. Dempsey and Makepeace.
That was it.
Yeah. I don't know what year it came out. I had a massive crush on, is it Glynis Barber? I think her name was. She was in Blake 7 as well.
I have no idea.
Yeah. And so I think I watched it just because she was in it. But yeah, it was like a Starsky and Hutch thing, wasn't it? But with this sort of British American kind of mix.
Yes.
I think he was trying to get used to being in Britain, wasn't he? He was trying to get used to British ways, wasn't he? Is that right?
Yes, in the show, yes. And I saw that show and I'm like, I need to go to the UK. Like, this is me. This is my vibe. And I loved it. And they only showed like one season here, and that was it. It was done. But I'll always remember her fashion.
I think it's on one of my channels. Our fashion in the 80s. I think it's appeared again on one of the channels I've got. There's one channel that show. Well, there's a few actually that show really old stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that the main channel would say was too old fashioned.
Thanks, Garrett.
Hey, I'm the same age, so you know. But yeah, I think yeah, that's so I did watch a bit of that. It was quite funny watching it. And there was things like the Sweeney as well. Did you ever get the Sweeney? That was kind of, I mean, it's a bit earlier, but similar kind of time. And that was like a, you know, very aggressive cop that would beat the thieves up before he took them to the station, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know, and you don't get that so much nowadays. But yeah, those classic 70s and 80s shows.
Yeah,
there's some good ones.
That was a great one, though.
I need to ask on the chat if does anyone in the chat love Blake Seven? Because I just mentioned it and I loved Blake Seven. I'd love to know if anyone is watching that like Blake Seven.
Yeah. Let's see. No, Mr. Faulty. It's not a rat. It's a hamster. His name is Basil. I love Faulty Towers as well. Just teasing about your love of Cleese. Gola says, my favorite John Cleese movie is Yellowbeard. He played Blonde Pew. Yellowbeard is such a classic. I don't think I've ever seen Yellowbeard. It's
kind of a Graham Chapman showcase that he was quite embarrassed about. But yeah, it had a life for a bit. It was like, I think they were kind of riffing off the fame of Python when they made it. Yeah. But yeah, some people actually love it. Yeah, Yellowbeard.
How about A Fish Called Wanda? That was brilliant. I remember
that.
That's
really good.
That was great.
And a lot of that's because of Kevin Kline being brilliant as well.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, Kline, he's really good.
Are they still married? Kevin Kline was married to Phoebe Cates.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Phoebe Cates was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she was in.
She was in Gremlins, wasn't she? She was in Gremlins. I'm sure she was.
Yes, and what's the British show with the other ones? No, with the 4 dudes. Was it 4 guys? Was it called The Other Ones?
Four
Drop
guys.
Dead Fred. She was in a movie called Drop Dead Fred.
Oh, yeah, she was. Yeah, Rick Meyer was in it.
Drop Dead Fred was in that comedy show. So you had like a punker. He'd always say, piss off. And then you'd have...
the young ones.
Like
the young ones.
The young ones. That's it. They showed the young ones on MTV at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was there every single weekend. I'm like, this show is amazing. The young ones.
Well, that's written by Ben Elton. That's written by Ben Elton. So we know I said earlier that he's a comedy writer who then has become a successful author.
Yeah.
He also wrote Blackadder as well after that. But he wrote Blackadder with Richard Curtis, who also wrote Love Actually and for Weddings and Funeral and Notting Hill and stuff like that. But yeah, so he's a successful scriptwriter. But yeah, that's so good that you guys get to see the young ones. It's a ridiculous show.
It was only the cool kids that stayed up late at night that didn't have anything to do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. It was basically like a completely mad version of student life in the UK. That's what it's supposed to be.
It was wonderful. I loved every single minute of it. It was so good.
Talking hamsters, talking bits of cheese in the fridge. It was all sorts of things, wasn't it?
It was so good. Oh my God, I have flashbacks. Alan said he read.
Go on. I was going to say that sort of there's kind of 2 kinds of British humor. Well, 3 kinds in a way. British humor. You got like the wordplay, like puns and stuff like that, which you probably get in Are You Being Served, but you'd get it a lot in Only Fools and Horses, which was talked about earlier. And then you got the stuff that I love, the kind of more crazy, surreal, madcap stuff like Monty Python and the young ones and that sort of stuff. The stuff that's like off the wall. And then you got the innuendo, dirty kind of women in bikini stuff like Benny Hill, you know. So it seems to be, and Carry On. So it seems to be like categories like that, really. But yeah, I love the fact you're getting some of the mad stuff.
Yeah. Not so much these days, but yeah, that's it. He wrote The Shop Girl. That's it. Steve Martin. It did really well, I remember. And they made a movie. Okay,
I'll look out for that because I do think he's a funny guy. I think he was funnier in the early days. So he's got his humor still exists, but it's like a more thoughtful humor. Yeah. Whereas if you think about The Jerk and Man with Two Brains, I think those films are absolute genius. And again, it's that kind of madcap humor, and I absolutely love those 2 films. Man with Two Brains, especially. I've seen that film about 50 times. I love that film.
I have a special place in my heart for The Jerk. I love The Jerk.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's amazing.
I feel sad for people that have never seen it, and I force them to watch it. I'm like, you need to sit down and watch this movie, like right now.
My favorite bit of The Jerk. I don't know if you remember this. My favorite bit of The Jerk, and it's just when it happened, I was absolutely in tears laughing. It was amazing, and I think I just stopped the film and rewound it and watched it again. It's like so he's got this date with Bernadette Peters, right?
Yeah.
And they walk down the beach, and he sings her a song just out of nowhere. She gets a trombone and starts doing a trombone solo.
It's brilliant.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love that. So, and I linked that. I literally mentioned that a couple of days ago to a group of people who were chatting about Lizzo, right?
Yeah.
You know Lizzo?
Yeah, she's a flautist.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly, right. And I didn't know, and I'd never heard of her until she appeared on one of our chat shows called the Graham Norton Show, right? Yeah. He's an Irish comedian who now has got a really, really popular chat show. Yeah. He's really, really popular chat show. It's a big thing on BBC.
They used to show it over here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's a very good chat show host, to be fair. And anyway, he said, ladies and gentlemen, Lizzo, I hadn't seen anything by her before, didn't know anything about her, and I just saw like a kind of Katy Perry kind of style pop music. I was like, okay, cool. I'll watch this for a minute. Not the end of the world, whatever. Didn't massively like it, but it was like, whatever. And then suddenly out of nowhere, this totally got me back to the Jerk scene. Totally out of nowhere, she gets a flute out and starts doing a flute solo. Yeah. I was laughing my head off because clearly there's nothing wrong with her playing flute. That's cool. And clearly if she is a flautist, that's great. But I didn't expect it. And it just made me think of the scene in The Jerk when she gets out a trombone. I just thought it was amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, and Lizzo will play the flute and dance at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, she's cool. I think she's really cool. Yeah. And I think she's a great sort of role model as well. I think in general she's really awesome.
Yeah, she has.
I didn't have an issue with her appearing in Star Wars as well. Like loads of people got upset that she was in Star Wars, and I think get over yourself.
Yeah. How do you say? Sawed off.
Yeah, sort of.
All right, Nettie says, Gareth, have you ever listened to any Vinny and Stansel from the Bonzo Dog Doodah? What? It sounds nuts. What is that about?
Yeah. So Vivian Stanshall was the front man, and he wrote most of the songs for the Bonzo Dog Doodah band.
What's the Bonzo Dog Doodah band?
So the Bonzo Dog Doodah band, their biggest hit was the Urban Spaceman. If you haven't heard the Urban Spaceman, that's written by Neil Innes, who I talked about with the Python Connection. And the Urban Spaceman is a great song, but that was actually written by Neil Innes. But most of the other stuff was written by Vivian Stanshall, who was the front man. He had this really posh kind of persona, and he kind of talked through a lot of it. And he did, I think it's called St. Rawlinson's Hall or something. Sir Rawlinson's Hall. They maybe Nettie can remind me what the thing was called that he made that was like a separate thing he did that was really funny and really, again, loads of wordplay. So it was like innuendo, but very clever innuendo. And you'd be taking the story somewhere, and then you realize, oh, he's talking about something else. And it was just very funny and very quick and like, very, very sort of fast amount of jokes, very quickly, But yeah, I have heard the Rawlinson Hall thing. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I have heard that, and it's very funny.
Ben Rollins asks, Man About the House and Are You Being Served? Great shows. Nettie says Dempsey and Makepeace are married in real life.
They were, yeah, they were. Yeah, they might still be. Yeah, they were. I think they were for a long time, so they probably still are.
I need to go down a Google rabbit hole and pick up some pictures of those two for sure. And I
think they met on the set. I think they got married because of the show. I think they met on the set, which is really cool.
They were electric. I remember they left a lasting impression in my 7-year-old mind for sure.
She left a lasting impression on me.
Yeah. Let's see. I like that show. Man About House was Three's Company here in the USA. Okay. All right. Yeah. And the guy was really popular, and he died really young, the guy who played the main guy in Man About the House. Okay. And his daughter, I don't know, am I getting this right? I think his daughter is Katie Beckinsale, who ended up being in the Underworld films and all that, and she's had a career by herself. I'm pretty sure she's the daughter of. Oh no, she's not. She's the daughter of someone else who died really young that was in Rising Damp.
which is a really clever sitcom that was just a bit odd, actually. It was about a really weird. It's really just difficult to describe the sitcom. So it was called Rising Damp, and it was about these 3 people who lived in this house, different flats in this house, and they had a really weird landlord, really kind of creepy, kind of strange, and kind of over enthusiastic extrovert landlord. And then there was this black guy that was this sort of womanizer, and then you had the main guy who was just sort of like bewildered by everything around him. It was a very strange show, but it was very clever, very cleverly written. There was one that was really cleverly written, which was set in a prison over here. I don't know if you ever get to see Porridge. Have you ever seen a sitcom called Porridge?
No.
That was written. Was it written? No, it wasn't written by. But it was starring. The main character was Ronnie Barker. So Ronnie Barker is part of a duo over here that was called the Two Ronnies, which I don't know if you ever saw the Two Ronnies stuff over there. But they were like a sketch show. Again, it was a little bit Carry On, a little bit Benny Hill like, but also with really clever stuff in it as well. So some of the Two Ronnie sketches were very clever, and some of them were written by Monty Python members, actually. Some of the Two Ronnie sketches. But Ronnie Barker, one of the Ronnies, was in this sitcom called Porridge, where he was a prisoner in a prison, and that was very cleverly written. Some of that was really good. I'll give you an example of a joke that I remember from that series. So in the first episode, he's just going into the prison, and this prison officer is asking him these questions for this form, like name, age, and he says sex, and he says, what, with these feet?
British humor at its finest. Oh, Betty says, Betty, listen to me. Nettie says the jerk is so funny. It makes me giggling just thinking about it. Yeah. 100%.
There's another great moment in the jerk where it just randomly cuts that guy who says, I need to kill someone, and just opens the phone book and just goes, it's going to be him.
Yes.
Awesome.
Somebody put a comment in there about the phone book. I saw it. All right. Oh, talking about Lizzo oozes positivity. Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Medium John Silver. Hello. Bonzo Dog Band was great. Have the greatest hits CD. Wow.
Yeah.
Sir Henry at Ralston End.
Henry, that's the bit I missed out. So Henry at Rawlinson's End. Yeah. So yeah, it's completely mad and brilliant.
Sir Henry at Nitties or something like that. Really crazy stuff. There's Alan. The new phone books are here. That's right. Absolutely bonkers. Richard Beckinsale was in Porridge. He was Godbar, and his daughter is Katie Beckinsale.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Leonard Foster was amazing.
Leonard Foster played the landlord in Rising Damp, and he was it's an amazing performance. And it's kind of what he's known for the most. He did a few other things, but it was if you ever get a chance to see it, it was a very unusual sitcom, and very clever, very good.
Nice. Medium John Silver says the best British sketch of all time was the Four Yorkshiremen. The
Four Yorkshiremen had a life before Python. So it first appeared. When did it first appear? I think it was something they did at university, and the original version had Tim Brooke Taylor in it from the Goodies. Do you ever get the Goodies?
No, we don't get the Goodies over here.
The Goodies it's like a trio of comedians that started this thing that they wanted to basically do a new version of the Pythons. So like so when the Pythons stopped in about 76, I think the show stopped, is around that time that the Goodies started, and their show wasn't really a sketch show like Flying Circus, but it was completely mad. It was completely mad, and all 3 of the Goodies became famous in their own right as well, and it was a very popular show. I don't know if they can't show it now because it's out of date. I don't know. I'd love to see him again. I know there was one great show where it was all about this giant cat that was marauding around the city, and it was a little kitten that had been like superimposed on the city. And there was a Western one they did, and they were squirting ketchup at each other. I know that was a thing, but Tim Brooke Taylor was one of them, and he was in the first version of the Four Yorkshiremen sketch. And if you haven't seen the Four Yorkshiremen sketch, it's absolute genius. Okay. It's brilliant. it's basically 4 Yorkshiremen saying how bad their childhood was. You know, oh well, in my day we had to do this. And, you know, brilliant.
Coda's here.
Brilliant.
Hi. Good morning, Coda. How are you? At the last 1948 show had 4 Yorkshiremen.
Yeah, that was the first appearance, and that was only with 2 of the Pythons. Yeah.
Yeah. Peter Cook and Dudley Moore also faves. Yeah, I used to be a fan of Dudley Moore. God love him. Yeah.
Both of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah. Buddy, we've been talking for 2 hours. I gotta get moving here. All right. So this was awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah.
Thanks so much for hanging out. Yeah, honestly, my husband's gonna be like, where are you? All right. So let's do this again.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
All right. And if you guys want to keep talking about British humor in the comments, feel free to keep up the chat. I've got a lot of homework to do. That's all I know. Whew.
Maybe I should do my 10.
I gotta look up the 4 Yorkshiremen.
4 Yorkshiremen sketch. Look that up. I mean, how much do you know about the Flying Circus sketches? Do you know much of the Flying Circus? Or was it mainly the Python films?
No, sketches, because they would do the TV shows every Friday night, and that's what I was staying for. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So
but I've seen the movies too, but more sketches than movies.
What was it? There was some. I don't know if it was an online conversation or it was a conversation I was having separately. But every single element of the spam sketch is insane. Yeah,
and it's wonderful. I learned about the lupin flower from Monty Python.
Yeah, their version of Robin Hood. Dennis Moore, riding through the glen. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so many sketches. Yeah.
So looks like everybody had fun. Have a great weekend. Happy reading. Bye, everyone. Gola said, fun stream, guys.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you so much for popping in.
Yeah. So again, let's do this again. Remember, everybody, if you're not subscribed to Gareth, make sure that you subscribe. And we'll see you next time in our next video. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Lovely to see you guys. All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Bye.